welcome to my channel. This is an indication of some of the things that I cover on a regular basis in my videos. If you haven't already subscribed, please feel free to do so, and don't forget to click the little bell so that you'll get notified of future videos. Please feel free to share my videos on your social media, and I hope you enjoy the video which follows. Well, I think this is the 12th in the series that I call Christmas Gifts from the Kitchen. And I'm sort of staying in Italy. This one is Pandoro. I can translate it a couple of ways. I've seen it called golden bread or golden cake. Very much an enriched bread anyway. And it also begins by making a sponge. A little bit different than the last one that we made when we were doing the panettone, in that this one has an egg yolk in it. But I'll get the ingredients in here anyway. A half cup of warm water, and by that I just mean tepid water, not hot in any way. 1 envelope of regular dried yeast, or 1/4 ounce of regular dry yeast. It's amazing how long that yeast will last in the freezer. It's the same kind that I used when I made the panettone. That had been in my refrigerator for several years, and I was wondering whether it would still be active. You freeze yeast and it lasts forever. I guess it worked just fine. A half cup of all-purpose flour, 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, and 1 large egg yolk. A lot of egg in Pandoro, that's why it's so golden. I'm just going to get this mixed together with the balloon whisk here. So I'll have to scrape down the sides a bit. Now that gets covered with plastic wrap and set aside in a warm place for 1.5 hours. So I'll bring you back shortly and show you the other ingredients while this is doing its rising. Well, the sponge is about ready to use, so I've assembled the rest of the ingredients. It's 3 cups of all-purpose flour, or 12 ounces, a half cup of granulated sugar, 6 large egg yolks, a stick, that's 4 ounces of room temperature unsalted butter, a teaspoon of salt, a large egg, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and it says about 3/4 teaspoon of orange zest. Well, that's the zest off of 1 small orange. I didn't bother measuring it. So let's get the stand mixer out and get this started. This gets mixed in 2 phases. Half of it, and then it rests for 1.5 hours or so, and then you mix the other half and carry on from there. But at the end of the first phase, second phase too, I guess, you need a bowl that's been well greased with butter for it to do its rising in. Well, that is 1 greased bowl. Also need butter to butter the mold. I probably should have said by now, I don't have a Pandoro mold. It's a tin that it's baked in that is sort of star-shaped. So if you sliced it across the top, you would get star-shaped slices. I'm going to do mine in my crazy bunt pan. It sort of has all of the swirls in it. So anyway, you'll see that shortly. Well, there's the sponge. If you can see it down in there, it's really bubbled up nicely. Get that on the stand mixer here. Attach the dough hook, and we We start with half of the ingredients. Find my list here to make absolutely sure what order they go in. Start by adding half of the flour. That's about 1.5 cups of flour. Using a half cup measure here. Not being all that accurate about it. I don't think it's that serious, but where is it? Raise that up. Now let that go on low for about a minute. That's had about a minute, and now you add half of the sugar. That's roughly a 1/4 cup of sugar. And the same thing, it gets going. And low for a minute or so to incorporate. While it is still going, add half of the egg yolks. That's 3 large egg yolks, one at a time. Don't add the next one until the last one is fully incorporated. Now that the egg yolks, at least half of the egg yolks are in there, you add half of the butter, a piece or two at a time, until each piece is incorporated. So that's the butter all incorporated, and that is it for this half of the process. The other half gets added after this is risen. But right now you increase the speed to medium and let it knead for 3 to 5 minutes. I'll let that go for about 5 minutes on a medium speed. And now you remove the dough from the stand mixer bowl and put it in your well buttered bowl. Trying to get every bit of it out of the bowl here. The bowl has to be cleaned before the next step anyway, because it would all be dried and hardened on, but I don't want to miss any of it. Now that gets covered either with plastic wrap, or this particular bowl has a plastic lid, and goes in a warm place for 1.5 to 2 hours. So I'll see you back in a couple of hours, I guess. It's had about 2 hours in a warm location. It has risen somewhat. I guess that's probably roughly double what it was. And now it goes back into the stand mixer. We start with the second half of the process. So we'll be adding the ingredients in the same order that I did before, and each time you make an addition it has to knead for about a minute. So that was the remainder of the flour. That is the sugar. I think I was misreading it. This first bit of the ingredients here, they get added all at once. You don't have to add them one at a time anymore. So that's the remaining egg yolks. Egg, salt, Now, I'll turn that up a little bit and we'll let that go for a minute or two. Okay, that's been going for a minute or two now, and I'm going to add the remaining butter, one piece at a time, and waiting till it's incorporated before you add any more. That is all of the butter incorporated, and now it gets kneaded on medium for about 8 minutes. It's finished its 8 minutes of kneading, and I also added the vanilla, which I had forgotten to add before it started kneading. So all of the ingredients are in there. A teaspoon of vanilla extract. It smells good with the vanilla and the orange. I'm trying to think of a reason why there would be the mixing it half and then letting that rise for 2 hours and then mixing the other half combined with the first. I don't know. The only thing I can think of is it would develop more yeast, so you get a better rising. First the sponge and then the second rising of the yeast with that first half of the batter. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a reason for it, but following the instructions and do what it tells me to do, I guess. So that is it back in its buttered bowl. That's all of the batter. And now once again it goes for an hour and a half to 2 hours in a warm place. See you in a couple of hours. Well, the dough only has about another 15 or 20 minutes to go in rising, so I guess I'll get my pan ready. It says it requires a 9-cup Pandoro pan, and as I said, I don't have one. This looks like that when you turn it out, hopefully. And this is a 10-cup bundt pan, so in theory there should be lots of room in here for the dough to do its rising and get baked. Lots of little nooks and crannies and crevices to make sure you get butter in, though. The easiest way to do that is always with a brush. I've used the spray stuff before, but you still don't get it everywhere. This is going to also be floured, so you'll be able to tell if there's some area that the flour doesn't adhere to. There probably wasn't any butter there. Let's see how we made out. That's pretty good. Now to wait for the dough to finish its second rise, I guess. Well, there it is, just having finished its 2 hours rising again. Now I've got to try to figure out some way to put it in my bundt pan. I don't want to add too much flour to it. But what I have in mind, if it'll work, yeah, okay. I'll sort of make a hole in the center. If I can, I'll put that down over the spout in the pan here. Okay. Don't know if I've got that in there exactly evenly or not, but at least it's in one piece. I had thought of sort of rolling it out into a log and wrapping it around, and I thought, what if the two ends don't attach themselves back together again? Well, believe it or not, now it goes for another 2-hour rise in a warm spot. And prior to putting it in the oven will be preheated to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. It goes in there at that temperature for, I think it's 15 minutes. Oh, can't seem to find it here. Yes, 15 minutes. It goes in there at that temperature for 15 minutes, and then you reduce the oven temperature to 325 for the remainder of the baking period. But I'll show you more of that when it's ready to go in the oven. It has finished its last rise, I hope, anyway. Yeah, it's risen quite a bit. And now, as I said before, it goes in a 375-degree oven for 15 minutes, and then you lower the temperature to 325 and bake for another 20 to 25 minutes. And it stipulates until a cake tester comes out clean, as if you were baking a cake. Which got me thinking. It depends on how old the Pandoro recipe is as to why this could be called a cake. What we use now when we make a cake is baking powder. Baking powder was an invention of the late Victorian era, 1880s or somewhere around in there. Prior to that, cakes were baked. The leavening agent was yeast. So if this is going back that far, then I guess there's a reason for calling it a cake. Let's hope it gets a little more oven spring when I get it in the oven, but I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. It smells delicious, and the cake tester inserted came out clean, so hopefully that means that it is done through and through. Pull it in a little bit here. The hole sort of healed up, although I guess not. I can see down in there the whole way. So let it set in the pan for 10 minutes or so, and then we'll see if I can turn it upside down and get it to come out. It's had its 10 minutes rest. Let's see if I can get it out of the bunt pan here without totally destroying it. Got the wire rack upside down, but whatever, I guess. Well, that's come apart quite easily. Now I have to wait for it to completely cool before we can move on to the next phase. I'll bring you back once it has completely cooled. So I got to get another wire rack and put under that to get it up so there'll be some air circulating around it. The flour is showing on there, but there's the next part of the process that'll probably hide that. Well, I got another wire rack under it so there's air circulating, but what I haven't mentioned is the aroma. Woo! It smells so good. It's all of that orange zest, I guess. Even while it was baking, I could smell orange. And it's very light. Interesting to see what it's like when it's cut, I guess. Well, it has completely cooled, and I've put it on a large white platter. Topping is a lot of confectioner's sugar, which, as I hoped, is hiding the flour to a certain extent anyway. So it looks like snow on the mountains now with the mold that I used. Now let's go in the dining room and see what this tastes like. Well, I think I'm ready to give this a try. I made myself a cup of tea. According to this recipe, a link of which will be down below, it is traditionally served with tuaca, mascarpone cream, and toasted almonds. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that word right or not. T-U-A-C-A. And I went online and did a search for tuaca mascarpone cream, and that evidently is a liqueur. Must be an Italian liqueur, I guess. Thought I knew everything. I never heard tell of that before. And the mascarpone cream part of it, it's takes some of that as a flavoring and adds heavy cream to mascarpone. Well, I have mascarpone, but I didn't have any heavy cream, and I certainly don't have the liqueur that I've never heard tell of before. So what I did was take some of my mascarpone and just mix it with a few drops of the orange concentrate, extract, I guess is the word I'm looking for, orange extract. So carrying on with the orange theme here. And I did toast a few almond slivers. So we're as authentic as we can be, I guess. Well, it is golden. That's a plus. And I suppose everybody has had mascarpone. I don't get it that often. To my way of looking at it and the taste of it and the texture, it's a lot like clotted cream. If you put it on anything hot like a bagel or toast or whatever, it melts like butter would melt, the same as clotted cream would melt. It's a type of cream cheese, I guess, but to me it has the same texture and a lot of the same taste as clotted cream. Well, let's give that a try, see what it tastes like. Well, here goes nothing. Fingers were made before forks and knives and things. I'm going to cut this into a piece that I can pick up. Very soft, lovely orange flavor. I think that was well worth all the effort. I hope you'll give this a try. I've never seen these in a store anywhere at Christmas time, not in this area anyway. You see the panettone a lot, but I have never seen Pandoro, probably in a more highly Italian area like Toronto has Little Italy. Places like that is probably quite available. But I'll have to be looking for it, but I've never seen it in a big box store here. You see the panettone everywhere. I'm petting my little buddy down here. I'll have to see if this is angel approved. Try a piece of this, buddy. As I thought, that is definitely angel approved. Well, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you'll give this little Christmas treat recipe a try.